What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital. We're here with Jack Regan, CEO and founder of LexaGene. How are you doing today, Jack?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, excited to have you on. So, LexaGene Holdings is a molecular diagnostics company that has developed a rapid, fully automated pathogen detection system for point of need. Can you tell us more about the company and its technology?
Yeah, sure. So LexaGene was founded 4 years ago. We're located just north of Boston. Right now, we have about 50 employees, and we're growing rapidly. So prior to the coronavirus pandemic, people didn't even know what PCR was. And now I don't have to explain it anymore because everybody recognized that PCR is sort of the gold standard of molecular testing. So what LexaGene does is we are a diagnostics company. We take PCR, which is typically done in a reference lab, and we've simplified it, basically put it in an automated system that's designed to be placed at the point of need. And I say point of need because our company is focused on multiple market verticals. Human clinical is just one aspect of that. Our primary market right now actually is veterinary diagnostics, but we're also looking at a lot of open access markets, pardon me. And in addition to that, looking at food safety as well. And we can get to these markets later on if you like.
Wonderful. So, what sets LexaGene apart from other diagnostics companies out there?
So LexaGene is the first technology that is now commercially available that is open access. And so what is open access? Open access is the ability to sort of create a custom test, if you will. And so why is this important? It's, I think, underappreciated how many different groups outside of human clinical actually do PCR for research or for other purposes like looking for contaminants and bioreactors that are generating vaccines or therapeutics. And so there's a tremendous need for just doing PCR, period. If you're interested in doing PCR, you really have the option of effectively building out an entire lab and hiring high-skilled people to do that PCR if you have a custom need. What we are doing is we are allowing the end user to effectively customize our PCR solution. It allows them to put their own tests on our platform and run it in an automated fashion. Our technology can screen for up to 27 different targets at once, so it's considered a highly multiplex test. This is sufficient for the vast majority of applications out there. And so we view ourselves as really democratizing PCR, bringing it to the masses, allowing people to do it internally easily, rather than either one, equipping an entire lab and staffing it with high-skilled people, or sending samples to a reference lab, which takes days to get results back.
Awesome. So, the company is focused on four key markets. Can you tell us a bit more about those and the opportunities within each of them?
Yeah, so our primary market right now is veterinary diagnostics. This was before coronavirus, and it remains our primary market today. We sort of view it as, if you will, a stepping stone to human clinical. Again, we are a new company, just founded 4 years ago. It's important for us to demonstrate, demand and utility of the technology in other markets, really before going to the FDA. So the veterinary market is a big market in itself. It's a $4 billion market cap opportunity that is really before the coronavirus pandemic. About 12.5 million households in the United States added pets this year during the pandemic. It's a market that's growing very rapidly. Also, it's a market with effectively no widespread in-hospital, high-quality PCR-based detection capabilities at all. And so the standard in this market is to collect a sample, ship it off to a reference lab, and wait for the results to come back. That's a problem because often they don't know what's causing the infection. There could be other ailments that they're missing. And in addition, these superbugs, these antimicrobial resistant pathogens are becoming more and more prevalent. And so the idea of sort of empirically prescribing a therapy without actually knowing the molecular makeup of a pathogen is dangerous because that animal may go home on a particular therapy, not respond to it due to resistance, and next thing you know, the pet is back in the hospital with a much worse condition. So that's one market, huge demand. We're excited to provide technology to that market. In addition, obviously, you have a human clinical diagnostics market. We are working our way through the FDA. It is going to take some time, but there is a tremendous possibility there in human clinical as well. But again, right now, as a small company, we're focusing on, I would consider, the underserved markets where there's still tremendous opportunity. The one I do want to mention to you is open access. As I mentioned before, LexaGene is unique here. We're the only system on the market today that allows for highly multiplex testing that can be customized. So there's needs in the contract drug manufacturing sector. This includes not only manufacturing like biologics and vaccines, but it also includes even things like manufacturing cosmetics. You don't think about, you know, testing a cosmetic
Mhm.
for a particular pathogen. But now imagine you putting eyeshadow on or eyeliner. You don't want there to be any E. coli, contaminations in that product. So a lot of products are tested for potential dangerous pathogens, and LexaGene can provide a solution for that. Lastly, I'll mention food. We all recognize that food safety is a big issue. Most of us have been very, very sick with food poisoning in the past. It's an industry that is in, serious demand for new technology that's more sensitive and fast, so you can deliver really fresh and safer food to either the grocery stores or the restaurants to keep our population safe. And we think at LexaGene we have a perfect solution for this because at high volume manufacturing we can offer our tests at very low prices.
Awesome. So, LexaGene is moving into sales for its MyQ lab for veterinary diagnostics. Why did the company choose to focus on vet care initially, and how will this system revolutionize the industry?
Yeah, when people think about molecular diagnostics, their first instinct is to go to human clinical, but recognize that animals get sick just the same way that humans do, largely with the same pathogens. And so it's a playground, if you will, for companies like LexaGene to prove out their technology. Importantly, it is not regulated by the FDA, so we don't have to go through all the validation checkpoints that are required for human clinical diagnostics. Mind you, we are going through those, but because they take time, we don't want to delay sales. And looking at the veterinary diagnostic space, there's a tremendous opportunity. Veterinarians are universally sending their samples off to a reference lab and waiting days for results. This is a problem. The veterinary industry is really a high stress industry right now for a lot of veterinarians because one, they're overworked, and two, they want to provide the best possible care for their animals so that the pet owners are in fact happy. They're clamoring for new technology. LexaGene is really a groundbreaking technology for the veterinary space. We've developed a specific test for veterinary animals because there are some pathogens that are unique to the animal kingdom, if you will. And so this particular pathogen panel looks for 7 different bacteria and 13 different antimicrobial resistance factors. The veterinarians are very excited for it. We've already generated some sales in vet diagnostics. We expect that to continue in the future.
Very exciting. So the company has also begun a series of studies in pursuit of FDA emergency use authorization, testing for its COVID-19 assay. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I already touched on it a little bit, but just a little bit more detail here. The FDA, as you might imagine, their interest is making sure that people who are receiving the test get the highest quality test available. Looking at our product right now, LexaGene is very confident that our product is a lot better than the vast majority of tests actually on the market today for point of care, coronavirus testing. Despite that, it's not like the FDA sort of trusts our word. They go through a tremendous amount of validation to make sure that our system is robust, that all of the tires have been kicked effectively, and the system is ready truly for human clinical. So our quality management system has to be up to snuff. All of our design control documentation needs to be up to snuff. And they require documentation backing this up. And so the company as a whole is going through all the steps required to bring it into a true human clinical molecular diagnostic company. It's something that takes a significant amount of time. So we are working our way through the FDA EUA, the Emergency Use Authorization for Coronavirus Testing. But because our entire system needs to be validated, this is the ability to do automated sample prep. That's the purification of genetic material. It's the ability to actually assemble a highly multiplex PCR reaction. It's the ability to thermal cycle that reaction and optically analyze it. So every single component, the software, the firmware, the hardware, all has to be effectively validated by the FDA. And you got to get through analytical studies and eventually clinical studies. And we are right now focused on point of care testing, not reference lab testing. And so when you're at the point of care, there's an additional set of experiments that need to be done. Long story short, LexaGene is working towards it. It's an active pursuit for the company. Nonetheless, we're not through the FDA yet, but we are very optimistic we will get through the FDA.
Great. So then there's LexaGene's open access custom testing capabilities. Can you tell us more about this and why it's a game changer for diagnostics?
Yeah, so PCR it's considered the gold standard, and many groups do PCR today. And how do they do it? They do it by equipping an entire laboratory, having freezers, having automated instruments to purify genetic material, having automated instruments to actually do the PCR. What LexaGene is offering is a system that effectively integrates everything that's in the laboratory and actually removes the requirement to have a highly skilled person actually perform the test. Whenever you have a highly skilled person operating one, getting all the reagents out of the fridges and freezers, actually performing sample prep to purify the genetic material, doing all the pipetting to actually assemble a test, loading a plate onto the thermocycler for amplification, then analyzing it, there's a lot of room for error. And so when you have a system that integrates the entire workflow, makes it super, super easy, that means that groups that we're looking at, effectively setting up a lab and hiring people are instead looking at LexaGene and say, hey, listen, can we get away with this, with just this box to do fully automated PCR? So the ability for these people to actually have the system screen for exactly what they're interested in is extreme value there, because everybody has a unique need. Not everybody is looking for a cookie cutter thing that's good for everybody. Everybody has a unique need. And so we provide that opportunity for them to customize. So it's a fantastic opportunity for these people to adopt a new technology that allows them to do this. Also, one quick spot on coronavirus. We have these variants coming out. They come out, they're more contagious, they're more pathogenic, they might evade the vaccine. It's important to have point of care testing out there that can quickly be configured to detect these new variants so we can stop them from spreading. LexaGene is ideally suited for this.
Great. So now moving from R&D into sales over a few short years wouldn't be possible without a strong team. Who are your key team members, and how has their experience helped the company achieve so many milestones in such a short time?
Yeah, so it's often underappreciated how fast LexaGene has developed. Typically, it takes about 7 years for a company that's even an established company to launch a product and certainly get it through the FDA. We were founded 4 years ago. We've already sold our first technology. That's an extremely fast timeline. So how do we do it? We did it based on the talent of the people that I've hired. And so I'm very, very proud of the people that we've hired. They come to the company with a breadth of experience, and we leverage that experience to make the smartest decisions possible. And also, importantly, be wise about our money. We don't want to be spending money where it's not going to pay dividends. So our website, I encourage your viewers to go look at our website. You can look at our team there. A couple quick highlights here. Steve Armstrong, he's our COO, our Chief Operating Officer. He has launched personally, 50 devices through the FDA and gotten regulatory approval, not only through the FDA, but globally in 100 different countries. So he's a regulatory expert. He has strong background in launching highly technical pieces of equipment, through these regulatory bodies. So he's a huge value add to the company. We also have, Dr. Nathan Walsh. He's got his undergraduate degree in biochemistry from Brown University. He went on to get a PhD at MIT. He's got over 20 years experience in genomics and biology. He's extremely brilliant. And this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg for a very talented staff. So I encourage you to look at, the key members of our, management here, but also our board, and likewise our scientific advisory board. They're really luminaries, in each of their respective fields, and we leverage them to help us advance this technology and the product forward.
You guys have quite the team. So what can investors expect next from LexaGene?
So LexaGene just expanded our sales staff. We just hired 4 new sales reps. They were in for training last week. We had a 3-day intensive training program for them. They were effectively sent back to their respective territories, and they're working on closing sales right now. So as we enter into June, which is just around the corner here, we really do expect the number of sales to be increasingly, happen every month and grow the momentum going through the summer into the fall. So we're very, very optimistic, not only about the veterinary diagnostics market. We've also hired one of our sales reps in open access, and that particular individual is focusing on these contract drug manufacturing companies, because there's a huge demand for making sure that the vaccines are safe, and that includes testing the raw materials, testing the batches as they're scaled up, and testing the final product. And so we're very optimistic about a significant increase in sales over the coming months and into the fall. And it's going to be an exciting time to keep a close eye on LexaGene, because we're now making that huge transition from being an R&D company to one really pushing our technology out. And so we expect good things over the coming months.
Definitely, yes, excited to cover it. So last but not least, how can investors get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website, LexaGene.com, you'll see our emails for info@LexaGene.com for general questions. We have IR@LexaGene.com for questions regarding investors. We try to respond within 24 hours, if not within 48 hours. We take every inquiry seriously. And so please, if you have a comment or question, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jack. Well, I look forward to covering your story, and best of luck with everything.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, guys, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to say, if you do support me, the channel, and all these videos, then kindly smash that like button along with hitting the subscribe button and the bell for notifications for future videos. I did also want to say, check the disclaimer down below. This video was sponsored by the company that we are talking about today. So check the disclaimer, full disclosure, and we're out of here. Always remember, guys, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you make your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. We'll see you guys in our next video.